So, we've all heard the wisdom, right? True happiness comes from within, that our external world, all the stuff around us, it can't really give us lasting joy.
Right, that's the standard line.
Well, what if that common wisdom is, well, missing a huge piece of the puzzle?
Okay.
What if we could actually cultivate feelings of happiness by deliberately changing our external material surroundings?
Now, that's the truly surprising premise at the heart of Ingrid Fetell Lee's fascinating book, The Aesthetics of Joy.
Yeah.
It challenges that long-held notion, arguing that our physical environment plays this profound and honestly often overlooked role in our emotional well-being.
Okay, so Ingrid Fetell Lee, she's a design director at IDEO, that big creative company, and she also has the Aesthetics of Joy blog.
Right.
What I found fascinating is how she approached this whole thing. For years, she just started collecting visual elements, things that simply made people feel good,
Yeah.
sparked a smile.
Yeah, just gathering data visually.
Exactly. And through that incredible process, what did she find out about these, well, seemingly random, joyful triggers?
She found something pretty remarkable, actually. There are common threads, universal principles, in what visually evokes joy across different people, different cultures.
Ah.
And she's distilled these observations into 10 powerful aesthetic principles of joy.
10 principles. Oops.
Yeah, they are. Vitality, abundance, freedom, harmony, playfulness, surprise, transcendence, magic, celebration, and renewal.
Wow, that's quite a list.
It is. And our deep dive today is going to explore how these principles connect directly to our emotions, like why they spark that feeling of joy,
Okay.
and how they can actually change our thoughts and behaviors from the outside in. She really digs into new research from psychology, neuroscience, and even draws on interviews with famous artists and designers. It's pretty comprehensive.
And it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, which I really appreciate about it. She emphasizes that different elements resonate with different people. Like if you're a nature lover, maybe that freedom principle really speaks to you.
Right. But if you're, say, afraid of heights, transcendence might not be your go-to for joy.
Exactly. Makes sense.
And our needs for joy can even change based on context. Think about a really dull office space.
Ugh, yes.
It might desperately need a dose of vitality to just liven things up. Or maybe a chaotic family home craves harmony.
Oh, I feel that one.
And, when the kids leave home, that suddenly quiet house might need a burst of playfulness to feel joyful again. It shifts.
Okay, so in this deep dive, we're going to unpack the aesthetics of joy in two parts. First, we'll get into the more concrete visual stuff that sparks happiness.
The tangible things.
Right. And then we'll move on to the more abstract principles, the ones that maybe stir the soul a bit more.
That's good. Should be interesting.
Definitely. Get ready to rethink how your world makes you feel. Let's jump into part one then. Focusing on those concrete visual aesthetic elements. Vitality, abundance, harmony, and renewal. And we have to start with vitality. What exactly is she getting at here? What does vitality mean in this context?
Well, vitality, at its core, is pure life force, high energy.
Okay.
Ingrid suggests that the higher our energy, the stronger our vitality, the more capable we are of playing, creating, celebrating, actively participating in the world.
Right, being engaged.
Exactly. So seeing vibrant, energetic scenes actually acts back on our nervous system, making us feel more alive and, in turn, happier.
And visually, vitality means flowing light and color.
Brightness, movement.
What I found fascinating in the book was this insight about how deeply rooted our response to color is. Apparently, humans can distinguish up to 7 million hues.
7 million?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? And the book explains how that visual ability, which, most mammals don't share,
Right.
it connects directly to our ancient survival instincts. We rely on vision to identify food, and bright, vivid colors often meant ripe, delicious fruit.
Ah, okay. So there's this deep, deep connection between vibrant colors and a sense of well-being, even survival.
Exactly. It's hardwired.
That makes a lot of sense. And to illustrate this beyond just humans, she talks about the male bowerbird.
Oh, yeah, the birds.
Right. These birds have an even stronger color-sensing ability than we do, apparently.
Wow.
And when seeking a mate, the male bowerbird builds these incredibly elaborate, colorful nests. Uses everything from flowers, green leaves, shells, even bits of plastic sometimes.
Little hoarders of brightness.
Totally. And these rich, diverse nests signal the male bird's vitality and creativity to the females. It basically says, look how resourceful and energetic I am. Makes his nest a much more appealing place to, start a family.
That bowerbird example really hits home the primal power of color. And it makes me think, if simple colors can have such an impact on animals, what about entire cities?
Mm-hmm.
Which leads us perfectly to that really powerful case study, Tirana, Albania. What was the situation there, like late 20th century?
Oh, it was bleak. Tirana at that time was dangerous, dirty, just dilapidated.
Not good.
Not at all. A haven for corruption, organized crime, streets were full of trash, just this general sense of hopelessness. People apparently saw it as just a transit point, a place you only stayed if you absolutely had to.
Grim. Then, in 2000, Edie Rama, who was a former designer.
Yeah, interesting background for a mayor.
Right. He takes office as the new mayor, and faced with this city on the brink, his first major decision was, well, pretty unexpected.
Totally unexpected. He personally designed these vibrant color schemes and exaggerated patterns to paint the decaying gray buildings.
Painting the city.
Painting the city. Think about the guts that took.
I can only imagine the reaction at first, like citizens stopping, staring in shock as workers paint these old gray buildings bright orange.
Yeah, probably confusion, maybe even anger initially.
Right. But what started as confusion quickly turned into smiles, apparently. People started discussing the colors. And then something truly remarkable happened. People began littering less. Residents started paying their taxes. Shop owners even took the security bars off their windows.
Wow, that's a huge shift in behavior.
Isn't it? And despite no increase in police presence, people reported feeling safer on the streets.
That's fascinating. Just the feeling of safety change.
Cafes filled up. Citizens started talking about raising their children in this new city. And within 5 years, get this, commercial activity tripled. And tax revenue increased sixfold, which was then used for public development, like demolishing over 5,000 illegal buildings, planting thousands of trees. The streets went from crime-ridden to bustling.
That's an incredible transformation.
It really is, and it makes you wonder. I mean, for someone who might be skeptical, could there have been other things going on in Tirana at the same time? Or is the book really saying the paint, the visual change was the main driver?
Well, the book makes a really compelling case that while, sure, other factors might have played a role, the visual transformation was the key catalyst. Rama understood, probably from his design background, that the colors signaled this profound shift. From a garbage city, as they called it, to a vibrant, dignified home. There's a famous quote from a citizen. Even if you are blind, you can feel Tirana's total change.
Wow, that says it all.
Yeah. And Rama actually won World Mayor in 2004. He seemed to intuitively get that uplifting power of color, connecting back to those ancient human associations with food and vitality.
Amazing story. Okay, so beyond vitality, we also have abundance. What's the core idea here?
Abundance. It's similar to vitality in emphasizing rich visual experiences, but it focuses specifically on diversity, non-scarcity, and variety.
So not just energy, but fullness.
Exactly. Fullness, variety. Think about how a vibrant rainbow makes you feel, or maybe a jewelry box just overflowing with gleaming gems.
Okay.
It taps into something primal, this sense of security and well-being that signals there's enough and then some. That feeling of plentifulness, it's inherently comforting and joy-inducing.
Got it. Then there's harmony. This principle is all about balance, symmetry, flow. We see it in intricate paper cuttings, the perfect geometry of a snowflake, synchronized dances, or even just the smooth, balanced feel of a piece of jade.
Right, and our innate desire for order seems to drive our attraction to harmony. It's that feeling you get when everything just clicks into place.
Yeah, that satisfying feeling.
Life itself, in many ways, is this continuous process of turning chaos into order, right?
True.
Which is why we feel such visual pleasure, even pride, when we see things like those perfectly synchronized military parades.
Oh, absolutely. Like China's National Day Parade.
Exactly. Or those massive unified group performances, like at the 2008 Beijing Olympics opening ceremony. The sheer scale and coordination, it's visually stunning because it's so harmonious.
It definitely reminds me of that blog, Things Organized Neatly.
Oh, I know that one. So satisfying.
Totally. I'm completely guilty of getting lost looking at those perfectly aligned pencils or color-coded spices. My own desk is usually chaos.
Mine too.
So seeing that level of harmony, even just on a screen, brings this weirdly satisfying sense of calm.
Exactly. Because we seek harmony, our eyes naturally look for similarities, for patterns, to categorize things.
Okay.
So if you can find a commonality between different objects, you can group them to create a harmonious whole. Ingrid gives a great example in the book.
Yeah.
She noticed this standout green vase in her bedroom, a green book on her shelf, and like 2 green matchboxes in her kitchen. Kind of random.
Okay.
But when she brought them all together on her entryway table, they transformed from just ordinary items into this charming, cohesive display. Harmony achieved.
Ah, I see. So you can apply this anywhere, like use color-matched thumbtacks on your notice board?
Mm-hmm. Simple, but effective.
Or replace all your hangers with uniform ones. Suddenly, opening your closet feels calm and orderly, like a neat little shop.
Totally changes the feel. Or if you collect things, like dinnerware, grouping similar-sized pieces makes them look like a proper set.
Right. Even Marie Kondo, the tidying guru.
Yes. Her methods tap into this.
She uses this principle when she rolls socks like little sushi rolls and stands them upright in a drawer. It brings calming order to what was just a messy jumble before.
Exactly. Order out of chaos, harmony.
Okay, our final concrete aesthetic element is renewal. What's this one about?
Renewal signifies prosperity, expansion,
Yeah.
often represented visually by curves.
Curves. Interesting.
Yeah, think of blooming flowers, plump animal outlines, or just the burgeoning life force of spring. It also signifies vigorous life force like vitality, but maybe with more emphasis on growth and potential.
And this goes way back too, right? To our ancient roots.
Absolutely. Early humans noticed that flowers were a reliable sign that edible fruits and seeds were coming.
Ah, like a predictor.
Exactly. Flowers blooming meant that in a few weeks or months, food would be available. That allowed them to predict harvests, which was obviously crucial for survival. So even today, though most of us aren't foraging,
Hopefully not.
flowers still trigger this instinctive happiness and an expectation for a joyful future. It's built in.
And you see these winding curves everywhere in nature, she points out.
The edges of an oak leaf, the silhouette of a pear, the new tendrils of a grapevine. These forms symbolize rapid growth and change.
And it's not just literal natural forms. Abstract curves work too.
Yeah, even abstract S-shaped curves can evoke this feeling. Think about the graceful curve of a chair back or the satisfying arc of a handle.
Okay.
That visual flow, it almost gives inanimate objects a sense of organic movement and life. She mentions the Hungarian ceramist Eva Zeisel.
Oh, her work is beautiful.
Isn't it? Renowned for her pleasing, relaxing designs. And she famously drew inspiration for her classic dinnerware from the soft, plump curve of a baby's bottom.
No way. Really?
Yeah, talk about embodying renewal and softness.
That's amazing. All right, that brings us to part 2 of our deep dive. The more abstract, soul-awakening aesthetic element.
Moving beyond the purely visual.
Right. This is where we talk about freedom, surprise, playfulness, transcendence, magic, and celebration.
Big concepts. Let's start with freedom. For most of us, maybe especially those with 9-to-5 jobs, freedom can feel like a bit of a distant luxury sometimes.
Tell me about it.
But whether it's vast wilderness, wide open prairies, calm lakes, or even just an expansive park in the city, these spaces inherently evoke a sense of freedom.
You feel it instantly, don't you? That sense of release.
You do. And studies have actually shown lower rates of anxiety and depression in people living near green spaces.
Oh, interesting. There's science behind it.
Yeah. Apparently, when you're in nature, blood flow to the brain's prefrontal cortex. That's the part involved in intense thought, planning, worrying.
The busy part.
The busy part, exactly. It decreases,
Right.
which leads to measurable physiological relaxation. It literally helps you unwind.
Wow.
Nature gives your busy brain a break.
Makes sense. Okay, next up, surprise. This element involves strong contrast, whimsy, or just unexpected things happening.
Yeah, like exaggerated graffiti or finding a little gift hidden inside an Easter egg.
Or even just seeing your favorite actor filming on the street.
Totally. Or finding another bottle written under a drink cap, or maybe seeing a surprisingly early spring bloom. These little unexpected moments, they really elevate our mood.
Ingrid has a wonderful personal way of applying this, doesn't she?
She does. It's lovely. She once put on a coat she hadn't worn in like 6 months and found a few seashells in the pocket.
Oh.
And it brought back this delightful memory of collecting them on a beach. So now she intentionally hides small mementos like pretty stones or nuts in her coat pockets or handbags.
That's so charming.
Isn't it? When she unexpectedly finds them later, it feels like a little gift to herself. A tiny moment of surprise joy. What a neat idea.
You can apply this design principle in your home, too. She talks about the Dimes restaurant in New York.
Right.
From the outside, it looks pretty normal, maybe even conservative. But step into the bathroom, and bam, it's this burst of vibrant, colorful, almost magical artwork on the walls, ceiling, floor, like stepping into another dimension.
A hidden world.
Totally. And she suggests you can do something similar. Paint the inside of your cabinets or drawers a bright, unexpected color.
Ooh, I like that.
Every time you open them, you get this fresh, delightful little surprise hit.
That's a great, easy takeaway. This concept of surprise is also super common in the digital world, right? With Easter eggs.
Oh yeah, I love finding those.
Developers often embed fun, hidden content in software that users can trigger through specific actions. She gives a great example from Niddy's Cloud Music
Okay.
with the song Hedwig's Theme from Harry Potter. If you tap between the 9th and 10th comments on the song's page-like platform 9 and 3/4,
Clever.
right, your screen animates with this burnt hole appearing, and a little train to the wizarding world pulls up. And if you save the song, an owl appears.
That's brilliant. It's pure magic. Do these digital Easter eggs have any practical use?
Not a bit. Zero practical use. But everyone who discovers them smiles.
And that smile is valuable.
Incredibly valuable emotional currency. These fleeting moments of joy, they can have a lasting impact. Even small positive emotions can kind of spiral upwards, shifting our attention away from everyday worries to something delightful, right here, right now.
Focuses you on the good. Okay, another crucial aesthetic element, playfulness.
Yes. And Ingrid interviewed Stuart Brown, the founder of the National Institute for Play. He did some fascinating research, studied violent criminals in Texas prisons.
Okay, bit of a shift there.
Yeah, but the findings are key. He found that almost all these violent offenders had a history of severely lacking normal play in their childhoods, often due to abusive parents or social isolation. Play deprivation.
Wow, so play is fundamental.
It seems to be. And his research suggests that most adults, well, we don't prioritize play enough. We use leisure time for chores, emails, passive rest, like watching TV or online shopping.
Guilty as charged.
Right. But the happiest adults, they do things differently. They actively engage in things like recreational sports, improv comedy, playing in a band, family game nights.
Things where you create or interact.
Exactly. Or even something simple like watercolor painting once a week. They don't just passively consume. They create joy through activity.
And it's not just about setting aside specific playtime, is it? It's more of an attitude.
Yes, that's a key point. These joyful individuals infuse playfulness into their everyday lives. They tease friends at dinner. They playfully interact with their dogs in the park. They might even add elements of fun to formal meetings or weddings.
Like being able to just dance freely at a wedding, not worry about looking silly.
Exactly. It's an attitude, not a lack of seriousness about life, but an ability to access lightness and fun.
Those little signals, too, like mischievous smiles, silly faces, playful fist bumps.
Universal signals.
They invite others into this safe, joyful space, separate from the rigid rules of daily life. In the world of play, language and logic often take a back seat, right?
Totally. Brown calls them ancient universal ways. Mammals signal non-aggression. Like, hey, I'm here to play, not fight. They transcend culture, age, instantly communicating lighthearted intent. Primal joy signals.
Love that. Okay, then we delve into transcendence and magic. These might feel a bit more ethereal.
A little harder to pin down, maybe, but still powerful. Transcendence, for instance, is all about that feeling of rising, of lightness.
Okay.
Think of transparent soap bubbles just effortlessly floating away, or the almost weightless dance of a tiny hummingbird. It's about feeling unburdened, lifted up.
A feeling of escape, almost.
Yeah, escaping gravity, escaping the mundane. And magic. That's about moments of pure wonder, something dreamlike.
Like the Northern Lights.
Exactly. Or even a perfectly executed magic trick. It's that sense of awe when the ordinary rules of the world seem to bend just for a moment. Pure wonder.
Got it. And finally, we arrive at celebration.
Yes, this principle often involves synchronized crowds and large, sparkling, or even explosive decorative elements.
Contest where everyone sings along, fireworks.
Carnival floats, big parades, shared spectacle.
And celebration is often tied to large items, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting insight. At amusement parks, game winners get those plush toys bigger than themselves.
Oh, yeah, the giant teddy bears.
Lottery winners get handed those oversized checks. At parties, a giant magnum bottle of champagne feels more festive than two standard ones. At festivals, maybe a huge roasted lamb becomes the centerpiece.
Why is that? Why do big things bring big pleasure in celebration?
Because they act as powerful focal points. They draw the crowd's attention, anchoring the communal experience. It gives everyone a shared moment, something big to focus on together.
Ingrid has that story about her family Christmas tree.
Oh, right. She remembers one year her family just stopped putting up a Christmas tree. And in the following years, even with carols and lights and gifts, the holiday just didn't feel the same. Without that central visual anchor, the celebration felt like it lacked a core, a focus.
That makes sense. It highlights how historically celebrations worldwide, whether it's bonfires, feasts, dragon dances, parade floats, they've always used these strong visual centers.
Exactly. When people gather to gaze at something extraordinary together, they kind of forget their worries, their differences. They feel unified in that shared joy.
It brings people together.
And Ingrid frequently mentions Jihan Zansili, who's known as the Balloon Girl.
Ah, yes, the balloon girl.
Jihan initially just carried a single hydrogen balloon around because it brought her personal joy. Simple start.
Okay.
Then she started a business providing colorful balloons for private events, weddings, birthdays, embodying vitality, abundance, transcendence, surprise, all those elements.
Nice, bringing joy to others.
But recently, her business evolved. She now specializes in these large-scale balloon installations, but she only accepts commissions for public spaces.
Oh, interesting. Why only public spaces?
Because she came to understand that celebration isn't really a private affair. It's meant to be shared. Human celebrations have always been public, communal.
That's a profound insight.
Isn't it? Her core principle now is, the more happiness you share, the more lasting happiness you gain yourself.
Wow.
So Ingrid suggests we should manage happiness in the exact opposite way we manage money. We should spend all of it. She encourages us to use music, fireworks, large balloons, glitter, whatever it takes to make as many people as possible happy. Because that, she argues, is the path to truly lasting joy. Give it away to keep it.
Give it away to keep it. I love that. What an incredible deep dive into the aesthetics of joy.
It really covers a lot of ground.
We've explored Ingrid Fetell Lee's 10 aesthetic principles: vitality, abundance, freedom, harmony, playfulness, surprise, transcendence, magic, celebration, and renewal.
Quite the toolkit for finding joy. Now, for you, our listener, how can you discover your own dominant joy aesthetic tendencies?
Yeah, let's make this practical. Grab a pen and paper or just reflect in your mind and try answering these questions.
Okay, first set of questions. Locations. Where do you feel happiest? Really think about it. What is it about that place that makes you happy? What aesthetic elements does it embody?
For example, maybe you feel happiest on a small island, maybe way high, like in the book's example, because it's sunny, breezy, open, sparse, embodying freedom and transcendence.
Right. Or maybe it's a bustling, colorful market embodying vitality and abundance. Okay, second set. People. Among the people you know, who seems the happiest? Why do they make you feel happy when you're around them? Describe them. What aesthetic elements do they embody?
Maybe it's that actor friend who is totally unguarded, talks to strangers, dances anywhere, embodying playfulness, freedom, and vitality.
Or maybe it's someone really calm and organized, embodying harmony.
Yeah.
Third set. Objects. What objects in your home bring you joy?
The things you keep around you.
Exactly. Why do they make you happy? What aesthetic elements do they embody?
Perhaps it's that balcony plant corner, like we talked about, with loads of green, lively plants, new leaves, new flowers, embodying vitality, freedom, maybe even renewal and transcendence.
Could be a brightly colored painting, a smooth stone you found, anything. And finally, the fourth set, activities. What activities make you happiest?
What do you love doing?
Yeah. Why do they make you happy? What aesthetic elements are present in those activities?
This could be dancing and skiing, maybe both embodying playfulness and transcendence. Or perhaps it's even the calming process of tidying a room, embodying harmony.
Or cooking a colorful meal. Vitality and abundance. Answering these questions will start to reveal your own dominant joy aesthetic elements. Like in our examples, vitality, freedom, and transcendence kept popping up. You'll see your own patterns emerge.
Okay, so you identify your patterns, then what?
Well, once you know your key elements, you can make small, actionable changes in your environment or your routine. If vitality is big for you, maybe bring more plants into your office or home, or consciously try wearing brighter colors.
Simple thing.
Simple things. If freedom resonates, maybe make a point to choose parks or go hiking on your weekends instead of staying indoors. Seek out those open spaces.
And the beauty of this really is that these seemingly small changes, when you accumulate them over time, they can lead to a pretty profound transformation in your mindset.
Exactly. Truly changing your approach to happiness from the outside in. It's empowering.
So the big question for you listening, what are your joy aesthetic elements?
What small things, what objects, what places, what feelings bring you joy? Start noticing.